growing up in Africa, I remember some of the atrocities that were happening in places like Liberia during their civil war. My aunt was caught in that struggle, and so many people were brutalized and murdered. And my aunt had to walk from Liberia all the way back to her home country of Ghana. And the story she told us as we were young kids sitting at her feet, listening to the atrocities that she saw, the mass graves, and the complete annihilation of people, villages, towns, human beings. You understood and saw the face of evil, and it was very clear. I don't know if you've seen the movie. There's a movie called Blood Diamonds that follows the story, or a documentary that follows the story of what was going on in Sierra Leone, where these militants came through and would attack villages and brutalize people, and they would leave a mark where they would call upon the villagers, and they would come with machetes, and they would say, "Do you want a long sleeve or a short sleeve?" And what they meant was, did you want to be amputated, your arms to be amputated at your wrists or at your shoulder? And they went through the village and systematically amputated limbs in villages. That was evil. That was evil because their claim was that these people used their hands to vote for a government that this group was against. And so anyone who voted, or anyone who was purported to be in support of the government at the time, had to have their arms chopped off. And so you have entire generations of people today in various parts of Sierra Leone with no arms. That is evil. And you cannot have any justification for that kind of barbarism. There is no political, intellectual, or coherent argument that you can make to justify this kind of evil against human beings. And anyone who attempts to do so, I believe, is not only suborning evil, but those feelings will, if they do not repent, I would say, will come back to stand as a witness against them. Because remember, God says, look it upon the heart. And whatever is in your heart is what you will be judged by. And so that's all I can say about what is happening. And I'm hoping that people will not bury their heads in the sand. Because many times as human beings today, we tend to look back and we say, oh, if I were in that position, I would have done better. If I were a German in the Nazi era, I would have saved some Jews. If I were, in ISIS territory, I would have protected some people. If I were, and yet when we're given the opportunity from the safety of our own homes, we can't even speak to the support of people who are being destroyed and annihilated by evil. We're no better than the people who stood by and watched millions of their fellow men brutalized, pretending it didn't happen.